most of you probably saw Penn State fire James Franklin after the loss to Northwestern. Things have been going bad. You lose that, you lose to UCLA. I really just want to take this to talk about the broader point in college. James Franklin has been good at Penn State. Yes, I understand he cannot win the big game. That's fair and fair criticism. That loss to Oregon. But they had him, in overtime. And it feels like when they lost that game, because the season was predicated on this is the year. This is the year we finally win the top 5 matchups and go to the national championship. And when that balloon popped, it felt like the locker room just gave it up. The problem I kind of have with this, though, when you fire James Franklin, that and pay that kind of buyout, that says, oh, well, there's someone else we can go get that's clearly better and going to be an instant improvement. Is there? Is there someone you're going to go get that's going to elevate Penn State immediately better than James Franklin did? I don't think college football fans, college football programs, most people in the college football world have not properly adjusted their thoughts and their mind and their expectations to what the new era of college football is. If this was 5 years ago and James Franklin loses to UCLA and Northwestern back-to-back, and Oregon, obviously, and you fire him, I wouldn't say a word. It would make I'd be like, yep, got to do something. It's unacceptable. This is not how it used to be, because any team can have a crazy season that just falls apart and goes wrong like Florida State did last year. That's something that's going to just happen more and more. The days of, we're going to win 10 games minimum. That's just not the era we're in anymore. And I don't think people have come to terms with that idea yet. Because I mentioned I live in Alabama. When DeBoer lost to Vanderbilt and then Oklahoma last year, and people were screaming for his head, and then the Florida State lost this at the beginning of this year, which was bad, I understand. I was talking to friends, and I said, okay, you want to fire DeBoer and pay the buyout, which, Alabama doesn't have money anyway, but who are you going to go get? It's not like there's a ton of guys on the market that are proven, national champions. Dabo Swinney might end up being on the market. Do you want him? Like, it's short-sighted to get rid of Franklin here. I know Penn State people were going to say, oh, it was time for a change, but a lot of the people watching this or got people on YouTube, like, y'all might be too young to remember what Penn State was like before James Franklin. But if you remember the end of Paterno and the Sandusky issue, like, Penn State was dead in the water. Like, not only were they bad as a football program, there was a lot worse stuff circling that program. It was a black cloud. James Franklin brought that program back from the dead single-handedly. And you're going to fire him because, yeah, he can't win big games and he loses too. He shouldn't lose. I understand that. But we are in a new era of college football. We're going to see other programs do this. I promise. It's just a matter of time before we're going to see a Georgia, an Ohio State, something like, Michigan would be a bad example, but you're going to see some of these top programs have seasons like this. You're going to see top programs hitch a little too much of their wagon to the transfer portal and it go awry, just like it did with Florida State last year, and it's going to come crashing down. The floor for college football teams is not as high as it used to be. For top programs, legit Power 4 programs, it used to be 10-9 wins was the floor. You were guaranteed that. But you don't have the depth you used to have. You don't have the continuity in staff or in players. It's so much more up in the air. Yeah, your floor could be 3 or 4 wins. And it could be like that for a lot of teams. I mean, if Alabama doesn't rebound after the Florida State loss this year, they lose one more game, their quarterback gets hurt, boom, they turn into a 4-win team. It can happen. So, I just, want to say be a little cautious when you're wanting to kick your coach out of town because you might not realize how good you had it. I hope it works out for Penn State, but I think it's very important that everyone that watches college football, everybody involved in college football, the people making the decisions, They need to properly adjust their thought process to what this new era is. Well, you're not operating in 2014 college football, where the NCAA was king. This is the Wild West, man. You're going to have wild swings. Look at what Cignetti's doing in Indiana, okay? Things are not what they used to be, so you can't make the decisions like you would have 10 years ago. James Franklin will probably land on his feet. Well, Penn State fans, I hope you guys do, but there's no guarantee you're going to find someone better than Franklin. We'll see. I just thought it was important to kind of address that because I don't see that getting talked about near enough.